Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alison, the online piano and violin tutor. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about 3 things you should never do when learning to play the violin. But before we get into the video, I want to say hello and welcome to all my new subscribers that have joined me. And if you are looking for a violin course to get started on, which is probably partly why I assume that you're watching these videos and having a look around for similar videos like this on YouTube. So maybe you've got a violin and you've just started and you're not really quite sure what to do, how to start, where to go next and all that kind of thing. I've got a 1 to 30 violin course that I just want to tell you all about. It's a fabulous course and it's great to get you started with. So my 1 to 30 violin course is a fully comprehensive and professional course that guarantees to take you from a complete beginner to an accomplished intermediate level by the end of it. The course is very simple and easy to understand without the commitment of an in-person tutor, but it does guarantee to give you the same level of skill that you would get from a private tutor. The course has been designed so that anyone of any age and any level can follow it. The lessons and videos are super easy to follow and absolutely no prior knowledge of any instrument or music is needed to start this course. The course is going to cover everything from how to hold the violin, how to hold the bow, how to read music. There's going to be some technical exercises in there to prove your skill and dexterity, music theory, bowing techniques, more complex pieces, and just much more. There's no other course like this available on the internet, and the results and reviews absolutely speak for themselves. My course will take you from this to this. The course is fully downloadable, is available worldwide, and you can purchase from my shop, www.amsmusicshop.com. It is $59.99 US, and you can get started straight away. I should add in that these books are 100% downloadable, so there is nothing physical that will be shipped out to you. So all you're going to need is your violin and bow and your enthusiasm to get started. I'd also just like to quickly mention as well about my 2 subscription websites. I've got a Patreon one and I've got my own one, online violin tutor.com. Both of them are exactly the same. They're just subscription websites, $10 monthly, but they give you access to my complete back catalogue of violin sheet music. There's some violin cover pieces in there as well. There's a little bit of easy piano music. There's some violin backing tracks. There's a couple of other bits and bobs as well. It's a $10 monthly subscription, but the catalogue is added to on a monthly basis. And off the top of my head, there are, I think, just over 800 sheets of easy violin sheet music that you can quickly gain access to. But it's either or, so don't subscribe. There's no need to subscribe to both of them. Either subscribe to my Patreon, either subscribe to my website. All the details will be underneath this video for you. Okay, so the first thing that you should never do when starting to learn to play the violin is to have a violin that's the wrong size for you. So this is just a very quick, easy one, but it actually surprisingly is a question that I get asked all the time. People always say to me, what size is my violin? And when you're looking for violins and you're looking online and they've got these kind of different, 4, 4, 4, as in like a fraction, quarter, 3/4, half, you don't really know what it refers to. So it refers to the actual size of the violin. Now this is a full size violin, or 4/4. I'll have some info coming up on the screen. Now this is a full size violin, or 4/4. And the next one down from this is 3/4, then a half, then a quarter. And you can get an 1/8 violin, but obviously you're talking for children that are very, very young, maybe 4, 5, or small 4, 5-year-olds. So suffice to say, my general rule of thumb is if you are an adult, then you should be buying a full-sized violin, or 4/4 violin. Don't buy anything else. Now, I know that some people say to me that they are an adult, but they're just a very small adult. So maybe you're someone who's maybe 5 foot, or maybe 4'9". I don't know, something like that, just under 5 foot. Then what do they go for? Because sometimes the full size violins can just be a little bit too much sort of out here. The bows are a little bit too long. You can't get to the end of the bow. But a 3/4 violin is often just that fraction too short. So you can, if you can find them, you can get 7/8 violins. I know the Fiddler Man does them at the Fiddler Shop. I think there isn't really an awful lot to choose from when you start buying 7/8 violins, but I would say, as a general rule of thumb, if you are an adult, even if you are 5 foot, maybe a little bit shorter, slightly more on the petite side, I would still probably aim to get a full-size violin over a 3/4 size violin. I mean, some people might argue differently with me. Some people might say that, the violin is too big for you, go down to a 3/4. Then I would argue that the violin would be too small for you. So again, if you really, really are in between sizes, then see if you can get hold of a 7/8 violin. But like I say, for the most part, for the majority of people, if you are an adult, I would always suggest getting a full size violin. If you have a child that wants to start the violin and you're not really quite sure on sizes, I can't really guide you on that through a video. You would really have to take them to a shop and try with them, or buy a half size and a 3/4 size with the aiming of sending one back. That's very, very difficult. You would just have to sort of physically size the child up. Okay, the second thing that you should never do is play on an out of tune violin. I've said this before, I'll say it again. If you are playing on a violin that's out of tune, it's very detrimental to your musical ear, because you're going to be training that ear to listen to all the wrong things, basically. So make sure that your violin is in tune before you start. You might have to tune your violin at the start of every single playing session. So if you're practicing and playing every day, tune your violin every day. I don't always tune my violin every day, but then I do have a very expensive violin that is very well set up. So in my case, I don't have to tune it every day or each time I play it. I just maybe have to tune it every now and then. If I haven't played it in a little while. Don't forget I have an electric violin as well, so I'm often playing that, and I'm switching between the two depending on what I'm doing. So if I haven't played this in a couple of weeks and it's been sitting in a cupboard, or we've had really hot weather or cold weather, something like that, then it's going to change, but only very slightly. But if you've got a more student quality violin, then suffice to say that you should probably look to tuning that every single time you play. Even if you don't think it sounds out of tune, it may be ever so slightly out of tune, and that's going to be good practice for your ear in turn. But never play on a very out of tune violin. Always make sure your violin is as close in tune, or really perfectly in tune, as it can be. And the third thing that you should never do when learning to play the violin is to let yourself play with poor posture. So holding the violin and the bow incorrectly. I've got videos on how to hold the violin and the bow correctly, but I don't necessarily mean particularly bow hold. I'm going to talk generically about actual posture. So having your violin in front of you instead of having the violin out at sort of 10 o'clock-ish, and having this elbow here, or this part of your arm, touching your body. It should be away from your body. So it should be about a foot's distance between the end of your elbow and your body. Obviously this is too high up. I'm just showing you so you can see on camera. So the violin should be horizontal, flat like a table, and then your arm should sort of be, there should be about that much gap between my elbow and my body. You should never have your elbow tucked into your body, because immediately you can see the violin's dropping by about, what, 30, 40 degrees, something like that. So always make sure your violin is up. Never have your violin at the front, and never have your violin at the front and down. That means that your bow arm's going to be crushed in, and you're going to be playing, I mean, this just looks ridiculous, doesn't it? But when I play with my proper posture, then I look more professional. I look like I'm going to give the violin a good old go. As soon as you do that, even if the violin is out and you do that, everything's dropped down, you're going to find the bow is dropping down there. So suffice to say that if you have poor posture initially, violin should be up, not out to the front, it shouldn't be down. That's going to have a huge ripple and knock-on effect at everything else you do. So if you get that right, then at least everything else has a good chance. If you don't get that right, forget it. Nothing else has a good chance, because it really has a ripple. It's right at the top of the pyramid. If your posture is at the top of the pyramid, so if your posture is wrong, everything else tumbling down underneath it is going to be no good. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out the links to my Patreon and or my website and my 1 to 30 violin course. They'll all be directly underneath this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.